I like salad. Do you like salad?
Hi, I'm Hostion Ho. I'm living in Vancouver, BC, Canada, unceded territory of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. I'm an immigrant to Canada from China.
Hey everyone, I'm Andrea, coming to you from Victoria, but more importantly known as unceded Akwesasne territory of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations, and I am an immigrant from the United States of America. And you're listening to
Canadian Salad.
Canadian Salad. Hi, Hostion.
Hi, long
Happy
week.
Tuesday.
How are you? Tuesday already.
I know already. Yes. You look kind of
So
tannish.
A tan-ish. This is called ethnic, okay?
Okay, I'll be the white lady. I did get tannish today, or over the weekend. But there is some sun kissing there. I can see the
And
sun
the sun had
kissing you.
kissed me furiously
Yes.
for the
Mwah.
past week. Yeah. Because halal is consensual.
You give the sun consent.
I give the consent when I walk out. I was like, you're allowed to kiss me.
See, I never have a choice. It's just the big glowy orb is just like, nope. Here I go.
Oh, no. They give consent, baby.
I know.
It's important.
Well, maybe you could share your secrets later. So
Yeah, tell us all this
Yes.
time the woman does not have the chance to give consent before they kiss you.
no, she doesn't. Yeah. This is a sunny topic. And I wish we were talking about the sun and consent. But we're really talking about what's been blaring and blasting over our media these past few days, our Instagram, our socials, unfortunately. And it was the bullets that came close to a specific former president, Mr.
Oh, the orange one.
Mr. Donald
Talking
J.
about
Trump.
tan.
Yeah, talk about tan. How does he not have cancer yet? Can we just?
I don't know.
Oh my
because
gosh.
it's fake. It's fake tan. That's why.
Oh, yeah, but I thought you could get cancer from that too.
Or maybe just Dorito powder. Then
Maybe it is Dorito powder. Yes, yeah. Every time he touches the mic, it's just got all these orange fingerprints on it. Oh my gosh. But yes, the bullets came close. I don't know if people don't know, there was a recent attempt on Mr. Donald Trump's life at a rally he was speaking at. And unfortunately, there was a person in attendance at the rally who was also killed. The shooter was also killed as well. Really, really awful. And yeah, it's interesting because I'm not in the States, but it was very, very interesting to see the Canadian response. Have you heard?
Yeah, I saw
stuff?
some of the response. Yes, I definitely
Yes.
have.
Yeah.
Heard and read some of the response, and it's not cute in some sense.
It's not cute. No, it's not. It's definitely
It's not
not
cute.
Barbie. And the reason why we're gonna talk about this is because I think the idea that we've heard this political violence. Oh, I condemn political violence. Oh, political violence. There's no room for political violence. The reality is, like, political violence happens all the time to Indigenous people in Canada, to immigrants, that most refugees who come to Canada have experienced political violence or unrest or conflict. Where is everyone's outrage? Where is all of it? And I saw this despairing hypocrisy and the lack of attention on the actual issues that are happening within this country and for immigrants. And I just wanted to capitalize on this and look at this issue from an immigrant perspective and from a Canadian perspective, because honestly, what we've been hearing is just completely, unabashedly narratives that support people who have privilege, power, and white skin.
Isn't that just tell us always time? Unfortunately,
It is.
that is always the one with power, with privileges, gets the support. The people
do.
actually needs the support that is free and privileged. Somehow they never get it.
Yeah, they don't. So, and I didn't know this, but did you know that there was an attempted assassination on Trudeau back in 2015?
I heard of that. Yes, I
Yeah.
remember that.
You remember that?
Oh, remember that? Yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't recall it. So this is, but I feel like this is Canadian news media. I feel like sometimes it's like, hey, it's out here. And then here comes America and it's just like, no, us first, But yeah, it was back in 2020. Actually, not
2020.
2015.
2015, yeah.
No, it was 2020. Oh, no, sorry. He was granted parole in 2020. So there was a gentleman, he took 2 loaded shotguns and a loaded semi-automatic rifle and walked on the grounds towards Rideau Cottage, where Trudeau and his family are living. And it was an attempted assassination. So this is not anything new that has happened. But it is something that did happen, in Canada. So in China, Hoshin, has there ever been an attempted assassination of Chinese leaders?
Even there was, you will not know.
Oh, true. Okay.
You will not know.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
And I doubt that ever happened because, I don't know. Usually people are really brainwashed to believe that the leader is the god.
Sure. That they can do no wrong, that they are where they are because they are, primo.
Yes. That's kind of... Yeah, but even there ever happened, I never heard of it. I don't think the world heard of it. Yeah.
But really the hypocrisy that came out of Canadian media, but also politicians. So we all know that Mr. Trump has actually incited a lot of violence, that he was in charge of the insurrection that happened January 6th. He has made very despairing and terrible racist comments towards people of color, towards immigrants, towards women, towards people with disabilities. I mean, the man is not a kind man. This is how Canada reacted, though.
Okay.
The public
Let's hear it.
Yes. The public safety minister, Dominic LeBlanc, says that he was briefed by the RCMP and the CSIS after the attempted assassination. We are going to create more vigilance and stronger security for our political candidates here in Canada because it's important that we do so. So evidently the RCMP and certain federal powers and ministers are going to be much stronger and much more equipped to handle any attempt and assassination. Mr. Trudeau tweeted July 13th, "I am sickened by the shooting at former President Trump. It cannot be overstated. Political violence is never acceptable." End quote. Sorry, that's my own inflection. He probably didn't sound like that. Mr. Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre, I can't even say his name right. I'm very sorry. Mr. Pierre Poilievre. Poilievre?
Is Pierre.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So he said, I quote, "I condemn in this..." Wait, I need to do like a French accent. Is this okay? Is this respectful?
I think it's okay. I mean, you're white.
Okay.
French accents are white.
Okay.
It's not cultural appropriation.
Okay. I was in a play where I did French accent, and so I still remember that. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
so here's
you
my
do
French
Asian accent. That would be problematic.
I won't. I won't. No.
But French accent is great.
Here we go. So, I condemn in the strongest terms the attempted murder of former President Trump today. End quote. Was that good?
That was amazing.
Thank you.
I thought it was in France for a bit.
Thank you, Hoshin. OMG. Okay. So, Mr. Jagmeet Singh. So this is the one politician that was like, okay, thanks for not being totally Trudeau-y on him. Mr. Jagmeet Singh, the current leader of the NDP party, said, quote, "We must all stand united against political violence wherever it happens." Thank you. He said, "My thoughts are with former President Trump and other victims of this shooting." End quote. So, okay. This is my favorite quote. Okay. This is Bob Rae. Bob Rae is Canada's ambassador to the UN. He says, quote, "Terrible events. There is never an excuse for violence of this kind. So sad to hear of someone in the crowd being shot." End quote. He didn't even
mention Trump.
He was like, "Yeah, I'm actually going to think about the bystander,
the one who died. Yeah,
the one who died, the innocent person that was just standing there, right?
Yeah,
and unfortunately, their life was ended, right? So that was a lot of the sentiment that came out of politicians regarding Mr. Trump, who has incited a lot of violence. Unfortunately, when it comes to people who are peacefully protesting, aka students on campuses,
or the violence against them.
The RCMP shooting rubber bullets at University of Alberta students, the arrests, the pepper sprays, the batons. This isn't stuff that just happened in the United States, but it definitely happened here in Canada.
Exactly.
Trudeau didn't say anything.
There's no condemn violence talk from him, for sure.
No, definitely not around that. The silent violence that Canada often has had, that white supremacy often interlaced with some of our systems has, that, if we just don't say anything, we're not necessarily condemning it, but we're not necessarily, supporting it either. So we'll just stay silent. But the fact that Canada has been complicit, that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has been very quiet about any kind of political violence that has been done to Palestinians. Right? This phrase, silent violence, for two dimensions in the context of Canada. First, the contradiction of Canada's claims towards protecting human rights. Right? Evidence through the infliction of colonial and capitalist violence unto Indigenous habitants. So that's one. And then secondly, Canada's proclaimed commitment to a universal framework of human rights, which unfortunately detracts attention away from Canada's complicit stance in human rights abuses at home and abroad, including the silent acceptance of Israel's apartheid against Palestine. And so this idea that, we're not going to say anything when it comes to Black or brown people or people without power who are experiencing violence. But when it comes to white, racist, privileged, and powerful leaders, we will for sure make a statement. And people could say, Andrea, whoa, you're drawing some big conclusions here. He's a politician. They're politicians. They have to. No, they don't have to.
They really don't.
They don't have to. They could be more like Mr. Canada's, Mr. Bob Rae, who's like, it's just terrible. It's awful. We just, so sad that people were shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there are other ways to say it, but to come out and just the times that Mr. Trump has actually said things that incited hate and we've seen hate against immigrants in Canada rise. So it's just, there's no voice. There's no platform that we're hearing from our politicians when it comes to very concrete and actual oppression and violence committed politically against citizens and inhabitants of this very country.
Absolutely. I think that's just another hypocrisy, right? The somehow violent, the violent accounts are violent towards people that has some sort of interest relationship with people or interest with. That violence is completely ignored. That violence that does not happen in their eyes. So this kind of human rights, so-called human rights guardian is selective.
Right. It is. They
only select the ones that they, that they think has some sort of value with them or interest with them.
One thing that really came to me was that death doesn't discriminate. Death is not biased. It's not racist. Everyone gets it. But the world is. Systems of power are. The other thing, too, that I think what really spurred was that we've seen from Canada and from politicians condemning violence against its own residents and inhabitants. So, for example, let's just briefly talk Indigenous women. Okay. Stats Canada in 2022 said that violence against Indigenous women, more than 6 in 10, so over 50%, we're talking 60, I think the stat was 63%, right, have experienced physical and or sexual assaults in their lifetime. That missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls is a Canadian pandemic. That we rarely get statements from Mr. Trudeau or from, we would ever get anything from Mr. Pierre, but we would never receive any kind of statements or the gravity of those issues happening, okay? Not only that, but we're also looking at immigration, like immigrants within Canada. So when I first moved to Canada, I thought Canada is a pioneer of immigration and human rights. And, they're very different from the States. They're very different. They're much better. They're much better. And yes, they are better in some areas. I'll give you that, Canada. I'll give you that. But unfortunately, the systemic racism, the oppression is here. It's just packaged a little bit
in a different way.
States.
Yeah,
absolutely. So Human Rights Watch, this is something that I learned when I was in refugee sponsorship, but they came out with a report back in 2021, and we'll link this into our show notes and into our website. But immigration detention centers are here in Canada. I thought they were just a states thing. So I want to read this paragraph about it, about immigration detention centers. Quote, while immigration detainees are not serving criminal sentences, they are often treated like people incarcerated for criminal offenses. They're handcuffed, shackled, searched, subjected to solitary confinement, and restricted to small spaces with rigid routines and under constant surveillance with severely limited access to the outside world. In provincial jails, many immigration detainees are confined in tense and even dangerous environments where they may be subjected to violence. Immigration detainees who are from communities of color, particularly detainees who are Black, appear to be incarcerated for longer periods in immigration detention, and they are often detained in provincial jails rather than immigration holding centers. End quote. The whole report is there. They documented there was one person who actually died in custody. They had been there the longest, 11 years.
No.
They suffered from a mental health condition, and because it was so severe in this detention center and there was no health or any kind of services offered, that person passed away for, quote, reasons unknown.
It sounds like jail.
Yeah. This is for
It's
immigrants
like
who have they've got no legal representation.
Yeah.
Right? These are people who, or even maybe that their permit for some reason was revoked and they were told to leave and they couldn't. And I've known people that have done that. This is political violence, though, because the state is committing violence against these people in state-run institutions. Where's your condemnation?
Where's the call for justice?
Yeah.
Oh
Human
my
Rights
God.
Watch and Amnesty International and even Canadian Council for Refugees have consistently brought these concerns forward to IRCC, saying you have to reform these detention centers. You have to reform, this is Canada. We have a human rights bill and law. We have a Multiculturalism Act. What are all those if we're committing all of these atrocities in our own country? Who are we to condemn acts in other countries?
Of violence, in general.
Of violence when
we're doing it. Yeah, when we are actually, it's institutionalized violence.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other piece is refugee youth. Back in 2020, there was an article that came out. It was a lit review, and it looked at all the research and data looking at immigrants who have experienced violence in Canada. And the highest risk of immigrant youth were actually refugee youth from Somalia, experienced a very high rate of violence committed against them. And this article goes on to say that refugee and immigrant groups may experience differential rates of xenophobia, discrimination, and harassment. Somali youth were the only immigrant youth who experienced higher rates of violent injuries compared with non-immigrants.
Oh.
And this is documented. This is out there. So to say that Canada is so much better. Oh, Canada is the human rights, pinnacle. They wear the crown. We really don't. And it frustrates me that we would spend all this time and attention and, make better efforts to secure our borders and to protect our candidates when we're not even doing that for people who literally are fueling the economy, which are immigrants, people of color.
It's so funny that we think, we want more better immigrant to come in. Why we don't do anything to protect them?
No. We
literally institutionalize violence against them. So it doesn't matter how good of a quality immigrant comes in. They come here, they experience violence. if they're lucky, they survive, they might actually want to get out. And if they're not
Yeah.
lucky, they might actually just die on the street or die in all these kind of detention centers.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then what is the point of getting all these good, so-called good quality immigrant to come in?
Right. Exactly.
What is the point?
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, like I said, like you mentioned, also the hypocrisy of it, that we think we're this kind of country that upholds human rights, upholds justice, while we are not even examining what we have established in the past, and that still is establishing. Again, this violence is against all these people.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, take the day off. Like, honestly, Trudeau, like, all of y'all need to just stop saying stuff and start doing stuff. I
agree. Politicians they just talk and talk and talk.
They do. And yet they're elected. And there are certain calls to action and things that I want to end this really heavy podcast on, because Hostion, it is awful. It is. And I think we've talked about this, the immigrant dream, the way that Canada markets itself. And the longer you live here, the more you're just like, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
What the fuck? It happened. It's
what the
happened.
fuck? Yeah, we're talking about the noodle soup. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I just
Vietnamese
think
noodle. Yeah.
yes, so good. So good.
Yeah.
I'm so hungry.
Anyway, go on.
Okay, but all that to say that I know plenty of refugees who have landed in Canada, and they are very extreme. They're very happy that they're here. Obviously, they are making their life as the best as they can with what they have, and a lot of them fled political violence and unrest. I don't want to see that happen here in Canada. I don't want to see people groups targeted because some lame-o elected politicians are just ignoring people over and over and over again. And we see this with Indigenous communities, First Nations, Métis, Inuit. And so I guess to end, I just want to call on Canada, Mr. Trudeau, Mr. Mark Miller, Mr. Pierre. Yes. Thank you, Bob Rae. I haven't looked into your track record, but I appreciate your statement. Really do. Just be more just. Be more just. I don't know why. Why? Like, what is it that, just, you can't? I don't get it. I don't get it. I believe in the goodness of humanity. I think you're capable. I don't know, Hoshin. I feel like do you have any things that you would like to?
I know you are very passionate. That's the right word to use.
Yes.
You are very passionate, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think this kind of disparity between violent, calling out violence when it is to a certain violence and not, and stay silent on a certain violence is definitely a lot of reasons. These politicians that they're all hypocrites in many ways.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to be a politician and not be a hypocrite. Because I think this is a trail of interest, a trail of buy and sell, a trail of money lead to that place of power. Unfortunately, that's how the world works.
Yeah.
And which it should not be. This does not mean because that's how the way it works that we should just accept it is not. It only I think because that's what the reality is right now, that actually cause us to actually call for more action. We should do our best to, in many ways, flip the system.
Yeah.
Because change does not come from accepting things as they are.
Right.
Change comes from asking for change, doing things for change, and not just content with what things are. So I think that's what all we do. Like I said, call for that. But of course, calling for it is not really just it should not end on just we posting some social media and condemn things online. We should do more than that. Obviously, we definitely by voting, for example.
And next year will be Canada's election, I believe,
exactly.
right? 2025.
Yeah, everyone should do more of that and
if they
understand a lot of
can.
immigrant
Mhm.
I understand a lot of immigrants might not be able to vote, but then talk to your friends, influence your friend group, make
Yeah.
sure they hear your voice.
Hmm.
Make sure your friends who has the power to vote hear your voice
Hmm.
and influence them to
Hmm.
vote for the person that can represent you. And if your friend does not listen to you, maybe you should make a different friend.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Period.
Make friends with us. Like we would take your words and your ideas,
And
and
we
we
can
would
vote. And we can
and
vote.
you can vote. I'm still waiting.
Oh,
My fingerprints. They haven't gone back to me on my fingerprints. IRCC, Mr. Miller.
yeah, but I can vote. So yes, make friends with
Yes.
me at least. Yes.
Yes, with Hostion for
Um,
sure.
yes, and Andrea, when Andrea can vote.
Yes.
So like do something about it,
Yeah.
please.
Hmm.
Yes. Because this vibe, if you don't do this vibe, it's gonna at someday it's gonna directly towards you.
Yeah.
Maybe now you think you're comfortable. Maybe now you are part of the privileged group among immigrants. But someday, if you don't do anything about it, someday the gun is gonna towards your head.
Hmm.
Point towards
Yeah.
your head. Really, you have to
Hmm.
do something. And
Hmm.
for all the allies out there, say the same thing. Do something
Yeah.
about it. Maybe
Yeah.
your partner is an immigrant. Maybe your dear friend is an immigrant. Maybe your student is an immigrant. Someone like we live in Canada. There's no
Right.
way,
Yeah.
no way in your friend group, no one of them is immigrant. If there's no one you know is immigrant, maybe
Unless
you
you're
are
in
the
like
racist.
Whitehorse or like maybe one of the like
Oh, you're
very
just racist.
remote or that. Yep. Boom. Boom. Boom.
Oh, you're just racist. Sorry to tell you, if you
Dang.
don't even have one immigrant friend, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, probably you
Yeah.
are racist.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's something you should reflect on yourself,
Yeah.
Reach out to
Absolutely.
immigrant,
Hmm. Hmm.
So, do something for immigrant friend, family, students, boss,
Yeah.
colleagues,
For
whoever they are.
yourself. For yourself. Honestly, if governments can like just determine which people groups should be allowed to live or allowed to come in or allowed to, be protected, you better believe you're just as easily to be dismissed and unprotected as another people group.
Mm-hmm.
So this is across the board, and I'm speaking to all the Canadians who may be listening or even Americans. It's like just because they're not coming after you doesn't mean they won't yet. Because I guarantee
True.
as soon as you disagree and think differently and actually start to speak out against powers and systems that oppress, you will be silenced. They will want to silence you as well.
I agree. Oh my God, that's such a great point. Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So please do that.
Yeah,
Do
no, I
something about it,
appreciate that.
please.
Yeah, elections. I think a big part too is just media literacy. With AI and with social media, honestly, I'm going to sound like an old lady, but there is disinformation out there. AI is
Sound like?
oh no. But like check your sources.
Yes, check your
Sources.
sources.
If some, what was it? Oh, it was the True North, I think it was that there's
True
like
North Star or something.
the North Star. Yeah, there's a media outlet that's very, very bent on anti-immigrant rhetoric, and it's like
Very
okay,
conservative too. Yeah.
yeah. If they are posting stuff, I'd question that before you start reposting it, right? So check the
Yes.
source, make sure it's a viable, credible source. If it's going to some rando account that's like, Jimmy dot I love, Poutine
Flat
7892 flat earth. Yeah, I probably wouldn't trust that, right? So that literacy is so important, but also amplifying Canadian immigrant voices. New Canadian media, big shout out to them. They are immigrant founded and immigrant journalism here in Canada, talking through the immigrant lens. I believe they do have news sources. I think they are working on a podcast. So yeah, check them out. Also, Here Magazine is immigrant stories written by immigrants for immigrants who live in Canada. It's a written publication, but they also are online. And the last one would be Canadian Salad. Us. Canadian Salad.
We are great. We are very good.
Yes. These issues matter so much. And this was the reason this podcast was launched, because it's so easy to talk about people, to talk about issues and not ever hear from those people or hear from those people who have lived through those issues. We are volunteer. We are working out of the passions of our hearts, and we want more people to have access to having their voice be heard, whether that's ideas, whether that's, you being on the podcast to share your story. We can't do this without other people spreading the word about Canadian salad. We are very unique in the sense that we do live in Canada, and we are a salad, and we all make this salad taste so good. You've got a pea and a tomato. You're probably like a crusty old crouton. And I would say, please come to the salad.
I know, unless you are a Dorito, then maybe no.
Oh yeah, Doritos would be weird on a salad. Although there's probably some folks who like Doritos on a salad.
Or Cheetos.
Yeah, Cheetos, cheesies.
Yeah, or Cheetos. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's really my encouragement. I know that news can be really despairing, and I feel like I'd like to end, if you don't mind, Hostion. There's a writer out of the States. His name is Frederick Joseph. I just stumbled upon him the other day.
Okay, Mr. Joseph.
Do you know him? Do you know who about?
No, I don't.
Oh, Mr. Joseph.
I just pretend I know. So I sound,
You did a good
yeah,
job.
sound literacy, yes.
Yes.
I'm an actor, okay.
With probably a better French accent than me.
I don't think so, but okay. Thank you for the encouragement.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime. So this is what he said. Let me just get this readable. So, quote, I suppose the response to the Trump shooting is, in its way, logical in a world where people profess a desire for less violence. Yet, this supposed principle of nonviolence reveals itself to be fickle, dependent entirely on the identity of the victim. It seems the cry for peace, I know, there's so many finger claps.
Finger clapping points.
Exactly. He goes on, it seems the cry for peace is only raised when the afflicted bear a certain complexion, a certain status. When violence strikes the powerful, the privileged, the outcry is resounding, the calls for civility unending. But when it is the oppressed, the marginalized, the brown child in Rafah, the black family in Mississippi, the silence is as profound as it is damning. End quote.
Oh my God. Wow. That was
Frederick
amazing.
Joseph. Yes. We'll include the link to him. But yes, that's exactly it. It's damning.
That is a great, and that's great sum up of the whole podcast. That's that quote. Good
Boom.
Job.
Yeah.
Snapping, finger clapping.
Yes. Yeah.
Word.
So if you're still listening, thank you for persevering. We are going to get into our Canadian Salad Pop quiz, where we are going to ask each other a question related to the topic.
Related to the topic, yes.
Yes. And see who wins.
Okay.
I mean,
there's no winning. There's no winning.
Oh, yeah.
There's no
right.
winning.
There's no winning.
Only knowledge. Knowledge is not about winning, baby.
Oh, you're right. Absolutely.
This time, how about I go first? Because I think mine is a little bit dark. My question.
Oh gosh, yes. Okay.
Okay. This data is from Statistic Canada, 2021.
Okay.
So, which ethnic group has the high percentage of hate crime motivated by race or ethnicity reported to police in Canada?
I want to say Muslims.
No, but they're on the top 5.
Top 5. Okay.
What is the number 1?
Number 1?
Ethnic group, yes.
Oh. African?
Yes.
Oh,
Black people, yes. 37.26. It's the highest. And then the second is East or Southeast Asian, 17.7. You see, it's more than double. Black people have more than double than the second one.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's awful.
Black people suffer almost 4 times more than Arab or West Asians in terms of hate crime motivated by race or ethnicity.
Wow.
Oof.
Oh Lordy, that I can see. Yeah, that is a heavy one. That's a very heavy
It is a heavy one. Yeah.
Well, mine's really happy.
Okay.
It is. It is.
I'm glad that I went first.
Me too, actually. So according to the Global Peace Index,
Mm-hmm.
which country is considered the most peaceful country in the world?
Is a European country.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if this country is. It might be like.
What? You don't know where this
is
country
how dumb
is?
I am. No, I know where they are, but they're not considered. Well, maybe. I don't know. This is how dumb I am. Okay, I'm gonna look it up. Real quickly. I'm just gonna confirm. Oh shoot. This is so embarrassing.
We're gonna keep this in the podcast. Who is listening? You're welcome. This is what making podcasts is like. It's not always glamorous.
Okay, this makes sense. Okay, so they are
Between borders?
in a cultural sense. In a cultural sense, they could be considered European. Could be.
Okay. Mongolian?
Ooh, no, that's not number one.
Oh. Then consider European. Oh my God. Polynesian?
No. It is close
It's
to
not a
Europe,
country.
but they're not considered European.
You said country, right?
Uh-huh. Which country?
Country. They're not considered European. Oh, Turkey's capital is in Europe, I believe. So that should be Russia's too. Close to Europe. I don't know many countries that are close to Europe.
It's really cold.
Iceland.
Yes. Yes.
Why? I didn't think of the ocean, of course.
I know,
Only think of the land. Yeah.
But can you see where I wasn't sure? I'm like,
is it Europe or is it not?
I thought that's Europe. I thought that's part of Europe.
According to government of Iceland, they say Iceland is closely connected to other European countries in a historical, political, and a cultural sense. Although Iceland is not a member of the EU, its relation to the EU is mainly based on the EEA agreement. So they do try to separate themselves from Europe in that sense, but they
I would count them as European countries, but yeah, maybe that's just because they're all white, so I just assume they're the same.
Sure. Happy. Let's all move to Iceland. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't think they like
they
that.
probably have some systemic issues there too. So
I agree.
But that is so far right now, the peaceful country.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, thanks for listening to us, everyone. Persevering. We always love to hear your input. So please drop us a DM on our socials on Instatalk. Ooh, Instatalk.
Instant TikTok.
Boom. That's a new word. On Instagram and TikTok, yes. And or send us an email through our website. You can also just send us an email directly, hello@canadiansalad.ca.
Or leave us a comment on, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen to us. Give us a comment.
Yeah.
Give us a rating. Please recommend us to your friends and family and your weird cousins.
Yes, Uncle Larry, who's just kind of a white supremacist. This actually might bring him back around, so you never know.
Your colleagues, if you think they need to be educated.
Absolutely.
It's like a slight hint. We
are a DEI in your pocket.
Yeah, like your HR person.
Yes, absolutely.
Just recommend us to a company-wide email.
Yeah, just do it. Just stop listening and do it. Okay, we're gonna go. All right, we love you all. Thanks for listening. Okay,
thank you.
Okay, bye. Canadian Salad is written and produced in British Columbia, Canada, by Hostion and Andrea McCoy. Theme music is by Naver Avatyan from Pixabay.
This has been a good Dranklin production.